YouTube. Welcome to another quick video by the Happy Woodworker. Today I'm working on another project and I am doing a setup on my router to cut for biscuits. And instead of using a biscuit joiner, we are using a slot cutting bit, which looks like this. It is a 5/32 slot cutting bit, and we're going to put that into our router, and I thought this would be a good chance to do a router setup video. When you install this into your machine should have a collet. My machine takes 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch shanks. Router bits come in a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch shank. You're going to install this. You don't want to have this all the way up. You generally want to have just a little bit of a gap where you're going to install this. So next up, for this particular project that we're going to be working on, I'm going to have to size the height of the bit. And to do that, I'm going to pull out a board next to me here. This isn't anything that has to be a precise measurement as long as all the boards are the same. So I want this to be somewhere around the middle. And again, if it's not going to be perfectly centered, you're going to have to make sure that you know which side is up. That way all of these match. And I think that's pretty darn close to middle right there, but I want to be a little more towards the bottom. Woodworking tip for you: when you're putting in biscuits, they will swell and they will contract and shrink as well. And if they're close to the surface that's exposed, somebody's going to see, like you're doing a large table, sometimes they can actually pull a little dip in the wood. So you're better to have it towards the hidden side of your wood, of your project. So I've got my depth set where I want it. So next up, for my biscuits, or for your project or whatever you're working on, you need to adjust your fence and have that where you need it. The feather boards are not going to be necessary this time around. So next I've got to set my fence where I think I'm going to need that. And I think I'm going to need to be right around 1/2 inch. And I have a gauge on this router table on each side that tells me where my fence is at. I think that's holding me up. I want this just wide enough so that our piece is supported, but we're not in the way. I don't have this plugged in, by the way. Never put your fingers near any kind of a blade or anything. So I'm going to lock the fences in place now, or the sliding section of the fences. Alright, so our fence is locked in place. And the way that we're going to do this with a router instead of a biscuit joiner. You guys remember I had my lines that I drew, and then I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you because off camera I also added a couple features to that. I drew lines, you can see this one best, of where my biscuit is going to be. And so this bit is not technically the whole size of this biscuit, so once I come into this, I'm also going to have to slide a little bit to each side just to make sure that I have the whole cut for where I want it. Now in this case, we're going to start with a scrap piece just to see where we end up. Let's say I want to come in center here. I'm also going to lay this on here and make a mark. And we're going to find out just how well this does what I want it to. So this is going to be a little noisy, so bear with me. And I think I'm going to leave this up this time just so the camera can see what's going on. Again, when you're using your tools, use all of the safety equipment that comes provided. Alright, so I found my missing biscuit. So we're going to insert that. And then we're going to find out. Look at that. Fits beautifully. Look how much extra I have. That was taking that all the way in to the bearing on that bit. I think that'll do exactly what I want. That'll make a nice, tight, strong bond that's going to last me the next 100 years.